We're going to start moving a little more rapidly now, I hope. We're going to start dealing with steps 8 and 9. Before we get into those steps, let's look at one more little drawing to kind of illustrate where we are at the particular time and what we've been doing up to this point. I've heard all my life about the 3 dimensions of life. We've talked about them some this weekend. We've looked at them some. The book talks about us being mentally ill, physically ill, spiritually ill. And I realize today that all human beings are born to live in 3 dimensions. You know, if God dwells within each of us, then inside ourselves somewhere we seem to have this thing called the Spirit. Whether we like it or not is absolutely beside the point. If God dwells within each of us, then we're going to have to live with this God. And the only question is whether we live with Him in harmony or disharmony. For most of us, we've been in disharmony with the Spirit or with God for a long, long time. Probably steps 1, 2, and 3 put us back in the proper relationship with God or with the Spirit. For the first time, we have decided to let God be the director of our lives. For the first time, we've decided we're going to quit running the show. We're going to let God run the show. And step 1, 2, and 3 gave us the information necessary to be able to do that with. So if we've taken 1, 2, and 3, we're right with God. Each of us have a mind. Now, I know sometimes we act like we don't, but we do. And the only question is whether we live with it in harmony or disharmony. And most of us have been in disharmony with our mind for years. Always doing things we really didn't want to do. Always running into troubles with ourselves. Always dissatisfied. Step 4, 5, 6, and 7 gave us the ability to look within inside ourselves and see what our problems are. To quit concentrating on other people, concentrate on us. 4, 5, 6, and 7, we found out what our problems are. We have begun to do something about their removal. We're beginning to get right with ourselves in 4, 5, 6, and 7. The third dimension of life, the physical dimension, I always assumed that it meant our body only, but today I realize the physical dimension is everything in this material world we live in. This is our relationship with other people, our relationship with our jobs, our cars, our children, our spouses, our dogs, our cats, or whatever's in the world today. And I don't know of any group of people that got sicker in our physical, sociological relationship with the world and the people in it than we alcoholics do. Now, we got to live in the world. We just don't have any other place to live. There's no other choice. And the question is, do we live there in harmony or disharmony? If we could go ahead and get our relationship with the world and the people in it straightened out, then for the first time we're going to be right in all 3 dimensions of life. And if we get right in all 3 dimensions of life, we ought to feel pretty good. Now remember, we got rid of resentment. We got rid of fear. But this file cabinet, this storage room back here in the back of my head still has guilt and remorse. Some of it's gone. But I've still got guilt and remorse associated with those people I've harmed. So for the final cleaning out of that part of my store, I'm now going to start using steps 8 and 9. And as I use these, if I use them properly, that old guilt, that old remorse, that old fear associated with things from the past will begin to disappear. And then I can empty that storeroom out, and then it also can be filled with God's will and God's thinking. But it can't be filled until the other disappears. Let's look at steps 8 and 9 as a way to straighten up our relationship with the world and everything in it, really the final thing we need to do to be a complete, whole human being.